Good morning, good morning. All right, let's jump into it. And some exciting news. Friday at 1 o'clock, the 1 week indicator went off for calls. It's the first time that it's going off since I've created this indicator. So we will observe. We're a little bit behind, so let's just jump into it. You should have your journal sheet out. Today is Monday, August 8th. I was just going into my personal account to type in my beginning balance. And we're going to also check news. I'm not even going to bother to take you guys over there because I don't want to lose you on the transition over. But at 6:45, we have PMI. And then at 7, we have, so at 6:45, we have global manufacturing PMI. And then at 7, we have manufacturing PMI. So it's going to be worth it to just be patient today. Let's see here. Let's do this a little bit backwards just because we're short on time, but I want to spend as much time as possible on IWM. So, excuse me, right off the bat, we're just going to mark off the 1 hour checkpoint for ourselves. Let's see here. I'm going to be moving quickly. Okay, and then just really quickly here, um, we're just going to eyeball this to see if there's anything. But I think my emphasis for today is going to be SPY. What's going on here? Okay, so we're just going to eyeball this. I'm also just going to look here really quickly. So, yeah, here you see the SPY call at 1:01 on Friday. Robinhood was still open, so I took a tiny little scalp up and jumped out. I'm glad I did. I just want to check here. SPY hit 15% pre-market. Okay. And then let's just continue to look through this as quickly as we can. At this point, we've been doing this for a while. So, IWM looks like it wants some upside. And we would be looking for some entry here. But as you can see on this daily time frame, I'm going to continue to keep this red, but I want to mark here because um, last time I changed it, I changed one of the levels and I didn't know what time frame I was basing it off of, but I like to use 4 in the 1. 4 hour in the 1 day. But yeah, you can see that we really, and this we have done this over and over and over, but going into August, we just really want to chill, relax, let the stuff come to us. If we get caught up in here, we don't want to really take any trades. On a lower time frame, that being said, for 4 hour, we will have stop losses tested here. So we might have a little bit of chop today as we decide what to do for the upside. Let's see here, 1 hour. We do have this gap down here that formed, and I've learned that there is a difference in how the gaps are. So like how this is the bullish gap, we can easily come down and skyrocket right back up. We do have another gap down here that we didn't quite, it's been ongoing. We've kind of dabbled into it. But for the most part, this remains a bearish zone. And so it's all about higher probabilities. You don't want to be fighting a trend right now. So, not I. Okay. All right. So let's just continue to. And what I'm looking for here, so yeah, we have confirmation that we want to build to the upside. We did gap up and we could potentially look for confirmation for buys above previous day high. Just to be on the safe side, we'll be out of this zone and then maybe encounter some resistance at previous week high. Let's see what the 15-minute has. You guys know that I love to see the 15-minute indicator fire. But that being said, Mondays we learn to be patient, right? QQQ, I'm not even going to spend a lot of time on it, and I'm going to tell you why. Because for one, if you're growing a small account, and I am, and I want to remember these phases because when I'm helping other people build their accounts, it does cause you to be disciplined and really knock out. But sometimes, the more capital you have, the more you can kind of get into the moves that you need to. So, but with that being said, I have a small account because I just need to knock out some. And so I'm just going to decide on, is this something that I want to carry with me into August? Or is this something that at this point we're going to decide we're disciplined traders and we're going to not succumb to that? So for the day, I'm going to leave this here. You can see buy above. It continues to be a bearish zone just because we have this gap here. If we come up in here, these are kind of like orders that weren't filled to the downside. It is then there we go. And so here comes IWM with that call entry that I was looking for. Um, heard me talking hella smack. He was like, okay. But yeah, so I would just be careful here. This is for the most part a bearish zone. There's bears here as well. Um, and the other thing, just because of the contract, like you have to be very, very correct. And if you're wrong, it can totally wipe you out, and it's just not worth the risk at this point, right? Doesn't mean that we still have it on the back burner. That being said, on the 15-minute, we did have post market on Friday some, puts to the downside. I would have preferred, especially when it's post, yeah, on the 1 hour. This is from the previous, and we did hit 200%. Okay, I would have preferred to see, the 15-minute on the pre-market setup, but that's okay. Again, we're not focusing too terribly much on QQQ. And then for the star of the show today, um, let's just start to tap in a little bit here. 6 months. Okay, so on the 6 months, you can see that we're up above the VWAP. We're right about here. 3 months, we're also bullish there with major buying up of that zone. For the month, we have recovered. We have bounced off of the 4. And when you look at it in terms of how we were on a lower time frame, we have bounced twice off of the 4, and we're looking for upside, right? For the month, okay? We do have a 300% resistance that we continue to resist off of here, 300% on the 4 hour. Here is the week that fired. So usually what will happen is this will form, and then today, the week of August the 3rd, is where we'll start to see where the entry level is. So I'll be interested to see, I'm going to move this down here, and I'm going to make this 1 week. Right? So one of several things can happen. We can open above here. I would say we can enter with confidence here. We can enter into calls with confidence. This would be a take profit level for me to stay high, previous month high. If we break above here and continue to build to the upside, then we would look for take profit here. You can see that sellers step in here. Otherwise, we can try to hit 30%, definitely take profit here before we hit these levels. Obviously, this is one thing I love about the indicator, and it just shows how much we respect levels to the point that we've overlapped for previous day, previous month, previous week, with all of that, right? And then 50% is where we usually tend to have a reversal across every single time frame when the alert fires. So just kind of keep that in mind. I do love that on the 1 hour we have this crossover to the upside in prep. So ideally, I want to see where price opens in terms of the VWAP. Looks like we're going to be up here. I expect a little bit of a pullback, some profit taking, but I think that this could be a potential bounce level, and with some caution, because we can fill up these orders here and have a little bit more downside. Test the stop losses. We can test the stop loss. Actually, I'll put this here. 1 week. Let me fix this. Let me fix this because 1 week bottom stop loss calls. That's what that really is. Because I want to be careful here and here I'm gonna, yeah, this can be moved down just a little bit more. And this lines up with us satisfying these and then deciding we want more downside and starting to develop below the PST high. Okay, so 4 hours. There's that gap. I hope you guys saw that. Listen, I love me a nickel chart. I do. Yeah, we have that gap that we have to deal with. Now, here's what's so interesting about this, and then we're going to take a little break. So, the ETFs love to fill a gap. I'm seeing here that we're below the VWAP. You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of like this crossover type thing because it's kind of like the VWAP is all of these. The VWAP, the 4, the 8, the 200, they're like rubber bands. And so it's kind of like I see it as like resistance. It's going to try to push up before it has to come back down. But this gap will be dealt with, right? So it's just a matter of being patient. I think also what makes it so interesting is it's worth the wait. When I look at the back test for the 1 week call entries, we do tend to hit 100%, but I've never sat through how it feels or how quickly or whatever. But at this point, we just try to be strategic. I mean, do we look for something for a week out? Let's just be patient. I think the name of the game for Monday has always been Mondays, be patient. I've noticed when I am patient, especially on Mondays and not chasing, it tends to pay off. And so with this being said, we like to deal with the gap. Ideally, I don't like to see this because what can happen is we'll have people who will attempt the gap. We have previous day high, previous month high here, previous day high, previous month levels here. And so we might have a partial gap fill before we continue to the upside. Hit 50%. This is 52-week high here. That's what's up, okay, at 760 before we come down and hit this gap and then possibly deal with this one here too. But this is a bullish base. And we can see that on Friday we bounced off of this 200 EMA as well as this one. So that's beautiful. We're opening above both 200 moving averages as well as the 4 on the 8 on these higher time frames. So I love to see that. On the 1 hour, and this is what made me want to jump in, but I think part of it too, and I'm not sure, I have to look at what I was looking at. I try to take as much screenshots as possible, but I'm not 100% sure if I saw this 300%. But once we hit 300%, doesn't matter what time frame it is, we always have major profit taking and pullback. And so I jumped into calls when I saw the 1 week, but I think in looking at it, I was like, I think I got this tiny move to the upside, and I was like, I'm just going to jump out. We fell off post-market, but we have this prep that I like to see. I think I mentioned that here too. this really quickly. I think it was on the daily. Yeah, on the daily we had prep to the upside, and usually when we have prep, so like I said, like this will show up, but it's on the next candle over, where we have a break prep to the downside, and so here you see that even though we started up higher um, on the day, we lost that volume. So anticipate, you know, let's see, a little bit of a trap here. Um, 4 hour, we opened, I want to say, is that below? I don't like that, but we kind of, looks like we opened right at that VWAP. So, but on the 1 hour, again, we kind of opened, well, no, this is good. We opened above. So I like to see that. We're continuing at this point to hold above the 4. Looks like we're holding above previous day, previous week. And then let's just zone into the 15-minute. Let's take a break if you need to. This 15-minute already got satisfied. It's not the most ideal, what I like to see for 15-minute setups, but hi. And then let's just mark out this gap here so that we can see what we're dealing with. Alright. But yeah, we're gonna be like, it's gonna be worth it to be patient for SPY. This is what, this is where we learn to, like, next year we'll probably just be so chill that I want to mark a couple more things here. I know it looks like a lot, but I want to go ahead and mark the 645. We have data 45. Oh, 45. And I want to, because for how today's going to be so busy, and I'll just delete it when we get there. But and we also have data at 7. Okay, kids. So I really should. I was looking at SPY. This box is a little bit more. All right, so be not discouraged. We have this, on SPY. One of the things I like is that they follow the rules. I can study this later. I want to look at this later. But looks like we're gonna try. I know the IWM is so responsible. That being said, you see how we have this gap down here? IWM is responsible out of the 3. QQQ will do some crazy stuff where it will kind of like come to here and then bounce back up, or get right to the level and then bounce up, or partial. But it's game time. So I'm just telling myself, like, I know it's going to be tempting to feel FOMO, but I'm so glad I'm recording this moment. This is the first time my weekly call indicator has fired, and so it's going to be more so important to just follow the rules. Preparing for calls, let me look at the week. I think what I'm going to do is put this on the weekly because this is going to be important. And I want to document it, how it happens live. So in the next 14 seconds. It looks like a lot, but I want to see where price opens the next 6 seconds for the weekly. Um, okay, so I also want to check. Okay, so price opened right above previous day high, and then I want to check a contract I would have stayed in to see what it came out as. So I think I had it. It was, holy smokes, SPY. Okay, so it went up to 165. Beautiful. The contract was like 68, so I would have been up $100 on that contract. Um, now let's see. Now let's see what SPY decides to do here. You just gotta be patient. It is okay to wait for some confirmation. We did open ever so slightly below previous day. Um, so you can see me just starting to drill in. It is being responsible in terms of looks like it wants to address this gap here. Good girl. All right. So there we go. We're just going to deal with this gap. Okay. And then let's just see what it does with this 8 EMA, which is a major level, and the previous day high, previous month high. Um, we're going to probably invalidate. But I love that we opened above here, so I can expect some type of a bounce. And again, this is all bullish. And also, if I do remember too, we do have, we do have, yeah. See, so you can see buyers are stepping right in here off of the 8. I hope you can see that. And again, this is so more so for me just documenting stuff. I'm not trying to catch anything. Plus, we didn't have anything fire, so you just got to trust the process here. I'm not even really looking at QQQ for anything other than it's just showing influence against all three. Let's see here. We opened below previous day high, so you had sellers stepping in here. We had a crossover to the downside that's forming, and we also opened below VWAP here. So, I mean, you can probably safely say, this beautiful bounce here. I'm not sure if you can see it off of the 8. Beautiful, beautiful bounce here. We're still keeping this valid, this order block valid. Okay. I would say for me, if we can get above here, I'd be game for calls. Go with me looking for calls here. So be patient. I want you to pay attention to how you feel too in terms of like just regulating your nervous system that it is okay to wait. It's going to feel so much better to just wait and be confident. There we go. There we go. Beautiful. If we get a confirmation for calls to the upside on SPY, take it. I think I could start to drill down on the lower time frames here. Yeah, we're bouncing right off of where I told you we would. Or anticipated, right? You just got to respect the technicals. I don't like that we opened below these levels, per se. We have a bullish engulfing here. Beautiful for the pre-market levels here. Let's just start to drill down. And then I think once we invalidate this put level, let's see what happens here in the next 30 seconds or so. just be patient, you guys. Okay, I like how we opened above the VWAP here on the 5-minute. I like that. Let me look at August 7 and see. Kind of what we're dealing with. All right, there we go. This is going to be important. Um, 36. We have a block forming. I'm just going to start scanning here to see. Okay, we have a bullish engulfing forming here. I think what we need to be careful with here is, yeah, once we hit 300% of this pre-market level here, if you're in calls, you might want to consider that a base hit. It's a little bit annoying, but I want to see. When we hit 300% here of this pre-market level, I am in calls. Looks like it's taking profit at. All right, I think I'm going to conservatively take profit here, but I think that okay. Yeah, so just be careful here. I'm going to be watching that 300 level. And then that's where we might satisfy this. And then once they're satisfied, and I feel comfortable taking it 200%. You might still have a recovery, but anytime we hit 300% is where we'll start to satisfy those orders. And then like how we open below here, you know, so it's okay. Let's just manage what we can. We did open below previous day high here. I didn't get the best fill on my order at all, but I think SPY is just kind of, I mean, Robinhood's kind of not, known for that. Yeah. And so, but hey, I got some profit, right? Um, so we have they're establishing their dominance again to the upside here, and on the 5-minute, if we do get an indicator for calls to the upside, we can take it, I think, with confidence. Let's see what happens here. We're building a bullish base here on SPY. And so if you want to go ahead and pull up, your context for calls on SPY. See what happens here. Okay, I like that we're pulling back a little bit. That's just me because I'm trying to get in to something as clean as possible. But okay, it's good. Let's see what it does at VWAP. And the same thing you can see here. Okay, I like how we're buying up. I like how we're buying up that level. I like how we're buying up off of the 8. And we're buying up off of the 4. Okay. We do have data in 5 minutes. Okay. As we're watching the other ones, let's just see what IWM does if we just stay high. If it rejects this level, we're trying to build a bullish base to the upside, and we did have calls pre-market. I love to see that. You guys know that. We're breaking above these stop losses here, and so let's just see what it does if we just stay high. I liked how we were buying up off of VWAP and the 8 here. I like that we have a bullish base here. QQQ does concern me just ever so slightly because we're kind of like below the 8 and the 4 and VWAP here, and we're selling off from this level. I don't like how we're rejecting off of previous stay high here in terms of like me having a bullish bias. Let's see what price does with this block here on SPY. We do have PMI, and I do apologize that it does look like there's a lot on this chart. I think the key is in the next minute or so, if we can stay above VWAP here, that's going to be a major level of crossover. Looks like we keep rejecting off of that 1-day level though. It's failing. It's not even touching these stop losses, but we want to see it open above here and above this stop loss level. You did have bear step in here on the previous day high, and so in terms of all three, now what can happen is we can have price. Okay, we have data in 55 seconds. What's I gonna say? We can have, you know, institutions look for buy-in levels. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have a drop. It doesn't mean that we're not bullish. It's just that they would scoop those calls up. I do not like how price opened below here on the VWAP, even though we're wanting to be bullish. So I don't know how to really explain it other than it's like, again, a rubber ceiling. So if we open down here below VWAP, we're going to want to come back down there. is how I look at it. Unless in the next 11 seconds, let's just see what it does with this VWAP level here. If it can maintain it in the next 2 seconds, let's just see if it can maintain. There we go. Beautiful. We got calls again to the upside. Let's see. This is breaking out to the upside here. Let me take a look at the data and see how it came in. So 645. We came in ever so slightly higher. It was forecast at 53.8 and came in at 53.9. Let's see how the markets decide to react to this. And then there was a little bit of a lag. Let me delete this. So 645, I can delete this. But price came in ever so slightly higher than what was forecasted by like 0.01%. But again, let's just see how markets decide to react to this. And so now you have some new levels on IWM in terms of where your stop loss will be. This is a great bullish block right here. We're still below previous day high. Just practice your risk management. The goal is to just basically take the stairs up above here. We keep selling off of this level, but on a positive note, we did open above the VWAP. So I like that. SPY, which is basically the star of the show for today. I don't like how it's selling off right here, but we remain in this bullish zone, and we did open above VWAP and above the 8 and the 4. So how this plays out. I don't like how it's selling off a little bit there. Let's see if it can recover. We do have data as well at 7. Okay. The data we had at 6:45 was global manufacturing, and then at 7 we have and that was for the S&P Global, and then at 7 we have ISM manufacturing. So this specifically does relate to SPY. We're starting to form a breakout here. See if we can. I like how we're breaking out here. We're trying to. See what it does in the next 2 minutes. Okay, so we have IWM dealing with this previous day high again. It's kind of holding its ground. There we go. There's that push up. And me personally, I'm going to start looking for an exit. Let's see. Might have gotten out a little too early. Yeah, I got out a little too early. Yeah, I don't know. I keep getting like terrible fills. And again, I'm not surprised. I feel like part of the game. Okay, careful here, you guys. If you want to wait until 7 o'clock, then it's time to break out to the upside. It looks beautiful here on the 1 hour. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Buying up here. And I'm just observing as well for not IWM, guys. And then if we had held on to our calls from Friday, we would have moved from 65 to 280. So I'm gonna mark that here. Okay, how we're, you know, if we want to decide to try to hold. I get freaked out and I jump out. Um, Let me see. I want to mark what level this was. I had gotten in. This was a 752 call. So I want to see what price is. Okay. And you can see where I got in and I chickened out for a small amount of profit. In the 15-minute, we're breaking out to the upside. Oh, yeah. So here we're dealing with that 300% level. Um, we're contending with that 300% level from pre-market. We always have a little bit of a sell-off there, so it's okay if you want to be patient. I think we're going to try to, if we can establish some dominance above here, and let's just see what it is. Let's see here. Part of it, so we kind of have to wait for all these three to catch up. QQQ did a nice job of um, breaking above the VWAP here. Next level for it to break out of is right here before we can expect a little bit more upside out of QQQ. And then IWM is doing a beautiful job of breaking out here. I think I'm gonna risk some. I'm gonna be risky, you guys. Let me see if my order fills. Let's see my order fills. Um, I got in on. I'm gonna try to hold my darndest. Let me see how long I can hold. And I just keep taking base hits. Part of the problem is that it would be so much better for me to just hold on to stuff versus like versus trying to um, I think I'm done for today. I've done 3 trades. Um, versus jumping in and out and dealing with the volatility. So ooh, but we got out of a good time. We got in for a good time, but not a long time. Okay, 4 hour is crossing. SPY is crossing the 4 hour in the middle here. See how much price is moving. Alright, IWM is about to hit 50%, so I'd expect a little bit of a pullback here. Let's see. Just ever so slightly, which is normal because we're gonna probably take some profit here and then experience a little bit of a pullback into previous day high. Oh, let's see what's happening here. Now Now on the 1 hour, we're gonna have a little bit of we're gonna definitely open above VWAP. We want to remember this. I know a lot of us are gonna, this is gonna be a video where I'm gonna refer people to come back and look at it. We're 5 minutes out from data, but we want to look for this, right? So if we have this base, even though there's a gap, we can hold with some confidence. We did bounce off of the 8 and now the 4 here. We do have confluence with the girls in terms of like starting to build lower time frames above to stay high here. QQQ above VWAP and the 8 and the 4 here. Let's see what's happening on the 30-minute. I like what I'm seeing there. I like how we're buying up off of that level. I don't know if you saw this. I like how we're buying up off of this to stay high. This is what I told you about that partial gap fill. So a lot of people would have gotten caught just because of the gap, not knowing that we had that weekly. And so, price is starting to soar up. We're about to fill this tiniest little gap here. This one we might have. So we're just going to fill some order to the downside here. A tiny little bit here. But they're going to fill that gap on IWM. There we go. We have data in 4 minutes. I think I want to save some of my capital for when I get an indicator to the upside, right? When I get a signal to the upside. So I'm going to be patient. We do have data at 7. There we go. We have that little bit of like they took those little tiny bit of orders to the downside here. And it is kind of lining up with the 50%. Let's just see what they decide to do. Just be cautious here. There we go. So they're kind of just, they dealt with that tiny little gap. And now they're continuing to go to the upside. The biggest thing for me is going to be protecting my capital, especially like for how hard I feel like I put a lot of mental capital into this trade. I feel like it's bullish, but I, just apprehensive a little bit of how it's going to play out. But I know that the next time that this weekly comes up, I can trade with a little bit more confidence, right? So let me just make sure that this is being recorded. Because y'all, sometimes StreamYard is a little kinky. Ooh, beautiful jump in premiums here. When I jumped back in right above here, I got into a contract for $85, got out at 96, way too small. Right now, contracts are at, so it went up to 124, and then now it's just a little bit of a pullback back to 117 was, and the last time I looked at it. Here we go. So on IWM, we're hitting 80%. I'm leaving this 4-hour level here. There's this lines up with the 4-hour put level. So again, this base hit here. SPY is back up at 125 on that $85 contract. We have a lot of open interest there as well. Now here you might get that confirmation that you wanted for upside. So let's just try to take it with confidence moving up into previous month high. Right now contracts are at 130. So I got it at 85 and now they're at 130. It was a 753. Just kind of giving you price points. So there we have some sellers stepping back in at this 4-hour put level. Lines up with the 80% level. Gotta love the technicals, y'all. You can't tell me nothing about my technicals. We're 32 seconds away. And you can hear my old school clock there. So we're 30 minutes. And so this lines up because we always have a pullback at the top of the hour. And then we'll just come back and probably test to stay high, but back into a bullish zone. So just take profit is the way I would play it. If we do have an indicator for calls to the upside in the next 10 seconds, I would just say expect a pullback to VWAP. It can happen quickly. And we also have data. So I'm going to go look at the data. Ooh, contracts are at 143. Uh, let's see. Let's look at the data. I mean, what the data came in at. Ooh, it came in really strong. It came in, was forecasted at 53.7, and it was forecast at 53.7. It came in at 55.6. Forecast of 49.8. Came in at 52.8. And then new orders also came in high, and manufacturing prices also came in higher. So let's see what they decide to do with this information. Um, I expect a little bit of a pullback to VWAP. I did get in something, and I'm gonna try. I have a problem holding. I didn't get in on confirmation of anything. Um, but what I want to document here is I want to try to hold until price. I am very much base hits, and I get nervous and I get shaken out of my stuff. But I feel like with the weekly, I do expect a pullback to here. Um, but I feel like we can easily hit previous month high, and I just need to learn to be patient. And then I'm just gonna leave my last trade for, so because I'm 4 trades in. Ooh, I'm tempted to get back out. Um, let's see what price does here. Oh yeah, let's delete this. You guys can see what's happening with the wicks. We have sell-off here at these put levels. You can see right to the T. We're always good with these levels though. But all right, I feel like I want to buy into this. I want to sell into this push. I might just kick myself, but it is what it is. Whoo, yes, yes. Held that for 3 minutes. I'm just gonna maintain this whole. Oh, I'm a chicken, but I thank God for my profit. I want to try to wait until I get some type of confirmation. Ooh, you know what? It would just be just not the best thing if I trade and get back some of my profit. I am up um, above my daily bread. So, but I'm gonna continue to walk you guys through what I'm seeing here. So, IWM is building off of this 4-hour put level, and it looks like it's pushing for that 100% return. Here you can see in terms of my levels, you can't tell me nothing about my levels. I have a track record. Check my receipts. I got a track record, baby. My levels don't. Mm. But you can see here that this is part of the reason why we leave this. It is, we had bears step back in here. Here we're trying to build a base above that 4-hour. I wouldn't be surprised if there was another 4-hour stop loss here. Part of the reason, it becomes sniper entry so much because, and it depends on where you get in on entry, right? Part of my indicator will tell you when you can get back in because conditions have been met. But the thing is, it's probably going to come back into an order block or something before it can see some more upside. I love here on QQQ how we're having buyers step back in off of the 4. Not a lot of people use the 4, but I think that with the week calendar, with the week entry, uh, I expect us to hit at least previous one high. My problem is I just don't be holding on. Part of it too is, like I said, I'm trying to grow my account. Um, and just learning to trust my process. And this is the longest I've ever stuck with one strategy. Where I'm not like trying to do a bunch of stuff. So I have to look back at the date when I started using my indicator. And then from there, it was just stuff like, I want you to see what's going on here with the 1 hour. So we have a beautiful breakout here. Beautiful breakout happening on IWM. Okay. Now we are still, off of previous, okay. So let's just see what it does with the 100% level here. QQQ is buying up beautifully off of this 4. SPY has a little bit of resistance here. It's a healthy pullback. I feel like part of the problem is normally it comes about 50% of the candle, or at least touches the 4 or the 15 for people who like to wait for confirmation. And so, but otherwise we have bears and just holding that level right up. Let me look at something else here too, because I'm gonna send people a look at this video to see how to deal with the weekly. So on Friday at 1, the market, we would have gotten into a contract for 70, let's say $68 and $75, $68 to $75. And that contract is now worth, if we continue to hold, right? Let's see. That contract is now worth $380. Ooh, yes. Right. So we would have been holding, we would have been holding, we would have been patient, we would have been sitting on our hands, we've been holding. I think what's going to be important is, okay, if it's a weekly impulse, how much strength does it give us? Because usually what I will track is, like, for example, every time we hit a 300% level, I know we're going to have like a $6 drop, like right up here, right? And look at how this lines up. You can't tell me nothing about my level. Yeah. This 300% level lines up with this 200% level here. QQQ is I was about to say some good stuff about you, babe. But let me see what's kind of happening here. We had a little bit of sell-off on QQQ. SPY is holding its ground though beautifully, although it's a little bit more dramatic here because on the 15-minute. But I love how you see how quickly we recovered here. I had it on the 1 hour because I wanted you guys to see, and even on the 30-minute, I feel like, practice risk management, if you would have bought it way down here, just based off of us knowing. Oh, there we go. So IWM just hit 100%. We have some profit taking. The next level to hit is 250 high. I'll never forget it. Beautiful. Alright. Got a little bit of healthy profit taking, but it's still holding its level. So that's good. And this lets you know like how institutions are trading too, right? Because you be in a trade and then be like, well, why are they pulling back here? What's going on? Right? If they hit 100%, they hit 100%. And so you have people that are waiting for previous week high that are just patiently waiting before bears step back in, and then we'll have a little bit of a pullback. QQQ is holding very well against the bears here. It's maintaining its level above the VWAP. IW or SPY is holding up as beautifully as well too. And I never forget. That song, "You Did It For Me" by Blue Monroe is my everything. And I'll never forget. All right, this is good to see. I love how, if we're going to be in calls, we want to be above this base. Had a little tiny retest here. You might get that confirmation move to the upside on the 15-minute on SPY, but you can kind of hold with some confidence here. Let's just look down at the lower time frame, continuing to build a base. I think that even moving forward, see how it got in here, but it's like as long as when we get, next time this happens on the weekly, we can look at the 5-minute and we can say as long as we're above VWAP, we're going to hold it. As long as we're above the 8, we're going to hold it. But as long as we're above that 4, we're going to hold it. And so then that's what's happening here. Continue to hold with the 5-minute as your guideline. And so if you're scaling, listen to this on another day, and we're all plotting on how we're going to do this. I'm going to come down to the 5-minute and just continue to hold as long as you can stay above. This one kind of came down below the 4, but we're still above the 8, continuing to hold our ground above the 8, taking very much the stairs up. Contracts on the one I had told you about are now at 159, where it was like the one I entered in at was that 744? I think it was at 744. With 744, I got an $85 contract, and right now they're at 159. And I think that was the one like right around here. So just kind of giving you a ballpark. And then here we go. So we just touched previous week high. Let's see what happens with the bears here. We have QQQ recovering. What time is it? We're on the 15-minute here. Okay. You can see what QQQ is doing here. The thing is, I feel like it's we got an indicator to the upside. Yeah, we have a little bit of sellers. We have sellers stepping in here off of this study. Let's see what happens if we just see high. A little bit, you see the little bit of sellers stepping in. Just a little bit of sellers. And then we have all three. I don't know. I want you to start turning your eye to kind of keep the peripheral. But the buyers are still in control. You can see that bit, but sellers stepped in there. But buyers are still holding the ground. You might retest this 100% level. Decide if you want to, continue to push through the upside. What's going to be important here is you don't want to fail this previous peak high here. Now let's look at this on the weekly, right? Because first day profit level. Let's see. On the weekly, we still have a ways to go. You can see where some sellers stepped in here. And for us to hit 30%, we still have a ways to go. Let's get it on the daily. I'm a living testimony. Hey, I done been through fire, I didn't turn out Gotta knock me down. Really out. Okay, we have sellers being activated here at this 30-minute put. I think that's where I was kind of trying to see on the 30-minute. Let's see. 15-minute calls. Oh, you guys, this is what I said I would be next. It's not within the spirit of fear. All right, I'm jumping in the calls on an E. So 7:15 E, 15-minute E, and my contract. Of course, I hope it goes to the moon to 30%, but I feel like it's not within the spirit of fear. You have the 1 week behind you, babe. You have the 15 minutes, and this is what the 15-minute does take time to play out. It can pull back on this first candle and then move to the upside. You just gotta be patient here. So you do have the 1 week, the power of the 1 week on your side. And then your girl kind of feels like I want to take profit when I see profit. As soon as I see a little pullback, roll it out. See what it does here. See what it does here. Woo. I feel like let me take profit. I took profit. Ah, y'all, I'm a scaredy cat, and it's not a compliment. Let me document. I took a little bit of profit, so let's see what it goes to now. Okay, let's see what if it hits the 30%. But this is what we would have been waiting for, right? That confirmation that we want upside after the weekly. Um, the contracts that we would have been in, holy smokes, it would have been up to 454 now for the 750 call. So we would have been up a hell of a lot. From a $60 call, we would have been up like 300 buckaroos. So this one that I just got in now, it's at 113. We have everything on our side in terms of like the 1 week. And let me show you how it looks on the 1 hour here. Alright. Ooh, ooh. What are you doing, boo? Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Um, yeah. Let's see when it hits a 30%. Mm, beautiful. So, and then it went to 1. And so this is at 461. Okay. Let me just document this and I want to make sure StreamYard is recording every bit. Thank you, Lord. Okay. So let's just praise the Lord. All right. Okay, you guys. So real quick, I mentioned that the weekly call entry fired on Friday. You would see that right about here, 1 week entry. And then right now we're looking at the 15-minute. And so it just hit 30%. And so if you had gotten into a contract for $68 on Friday at close, right now your contract would have been at $454. Not bad, right? And then you can do it with confidence. You can jump in with confidence, knowing that yeah, that the setup is there for you. All right, see you guys. Ooh, let me look at my. Is that another? Hold on, I need to look at my P&L. So I took a little bit of a pullback. Um, okay, you guys. So real quick, I mentioned that. Sorry to you, girl. On Friday. Okay. So. I really shouldn't get any more calls, and that's the blessing of doing. I don't want to overtrade, and I think I did a good job considering that you don't want to. Tap. There was a tap. Okay. Okay. I want to show you how it looks on the 1 hour because we want to document this for future. So this is what I'm gonna have to learn to sit through. Feel like previous month high is still going for working. Oh, y'all. Let me look at this. So contracts right now, they're still around 456, which is not bad if we had held from Friday. The call I got in myself is kind of starting to just taper off, and that's okay. I feel like it is very much taking a stairs up. Um, I expect a little bit of taking profit, but it's holding its ground here. With the 15-minute, it's holding up really well. Beautiful, beautiful. It's starting to push through that level. And I feel like usually, if you guys have been with me for a while, the 15-minute can be a little bit trickier because we come back to test stop loss before we continue for more upside. So beautiful buys up here. On the Russell, so you have QQQ breaking out. This is good. If anything, they're going to also try to touch previous day high, previous month high. Um, Here you have a failure of previous week high. They're stepping back in here. You might have a little bit of a chop here. Uh, we're approaching 1 hour into the market. Right now, the contracts I had gotten in today are at 128 when I had paid 90 for it. Whereas the contract from Friday is at 483. Yeah, we go for 500, baby. Let's go. 483. Let me just look at the time here at 724. And this is at 30% of the 15-minute. There we go. So you have they're going to try to they're going to try to turn this into support level. That's what I see happening. We have a recovery here. Let's look at the 5-minute because I talked about how we want to be prepared for this next time. So as long as we stay above this 5-minute, we ain't going nowhere. We're going to continue to hold on to them calls. Okay? We don't have to be hopping around. We won't have to be hopping around the time frames next time. I'm going to take a sneak peek at my social media. All right, so here we have a little bit of a pullback. Remember, the plot is you stay in as long as you're in the five. I'm not in anything. I need to go look at my P&L. Ooh, I felt like they could have made more on that last one. That's okay though. We're not gonna complain. But we're not complaining. We're not complaining over here. No, we're not. Because I have had really good indicators fired too, and girl will be like, "Ooh, this indicator give your money away." So I'm done. At this point, I think I did like 7 trades. Um, but I wanted to make sure that I was tracking how we did for the next time this fires and people who will be using the indicator. Welcome to the community. This is what we're going to be doing. Hopefully easy enough to teach our kids too. So, um, and their loved ones, their family, and stuff like that. So it looks like when the weekly fires, um, even if we do have a gap up, we continue to hold on and we can look as low as the 5-minute time frame. And as long as we stay above VWAP on the 5-minute, we're gonna ride that baby up. Okay. And the nice thing is once we know what to expect too, we can scale, which is gonna be huge. And then from there we can start to drop off. We can start to scale out. Um, thing about calls is we do take the stairs up. Um, QQQ, beautiful recovery here. Let's look at this. I want you to see what I did here because this was from I think at some point there's a 30-minute play for puts down somewhere around here. Yeah, it was from this one. And so I had put it at the stop loss. And so if we reactivated those stop losses for that put, you can see that we kind of played around with it and we've continued to drop off there. So we do have sellers there. Um, but we have decided, you can see the breakout happening here on the 30-minute, that we're trying to break above that. We have a little bit more bears lined up here. But, you know, and, did you see that? Yeah. Look at that real quick. So I again, like I wasn't even kind of like play with here because all of this, you got a bunch of bears here. Next key level to get up here, and then you have another gap up here. It does like to fill gaps, but these are like orders to the downside. So, but it is playing nicely with the other ones, right? Let me show you how beautiful this looks on the 1 hour. Um, Let me show you how beautiful. I wish you could see. It looks so nice on the big screen here. It looks so good. Let's look at the weekly. Um, just so we can train our brains for what to look for next time. So see, this started on Friday, and so then it's the next candle that we look at. And so then the play is going to be, we're going to look for buy-in levels. At this point, it was like above previous day high, previous day, previous month high, stuff like that. We kind of just tapped in a little bit. We continue to build off of the four, and we're continuing to the upside. Kind of disregarded what's happening here with the VWAP. Is showing strength, but you can see that we can comfortably, solidly hold until we hit something like the previous month high, or like, oh, this must be a previous month low or something. But or as high as like a 4 hour, 300% level, right? So all the things like on the lower time frame where I'm a little bit more hesitant, you know, we can kind of anticipate what to look for on the, let me get something like a 180. Oh, let's see here. Let's say this, and then beautiful here. Beautiful. It looks so good. Um, we continued to hold above the VWAP there, and we had a nice base, and we had prep to the upside, okay, during pre-market hours. So I love to see that. Definitely influence. You got QQQ building a base. Beautiful base here on the 15-minute. Um, Again, to the upside. Here also, so we're 1 hour into the market. I will need to go, but what I want to leave you with is that we are able to open above previous week high here. Beautiful buy above. Nice solid candle above here as well. Let's see here. Let's take a look and see how much. Okay, we have a little bit of sell off. So we talked about how the next time this fires, our rule of thumb, candles are getting smaller. We're 1 hour into the market. We're 1 hour into the market. And you just saw me delete the 1 hour line there. But at this point, do not overtrade. The whole point of trading is for us to make profit and not be greedy. And if we've overtraded at this point, definitely walk away. If you've been patient and you are skilled, you know, take your profit where you need to, and then just kind of check in. That 1 hour is a great point for you to check in. But you can see here that the candle's getting a little bit smaller. Um, let's look and see how much profit we would have been. So we hold for 1 hour on the weekly, and let's see here. Let's see how much that contract would have been worth if we had held from Friday. And part of FOMO is like you have to respect it in that if you don't feel prepared or you don't know your strategy, FOMO is very appropriate because it protects us, right? Whereas it's different. There's two different types of FOMO where it's like you just have so many bad habits and then you're just being a chicken versus like, no, I don't really fully understand how this strategy plays out or what to prepare for. And versus like, okay, the next time that this fires, we can know what to expect. So Friday we would have been at 456. So we're, you know, you'd have been up a good solid $400 easy. 456. And then the contract I would have gotten in today would have been 180. So okay. a little bit of sell-off happening here. Looking at the 1 hour, this is so beautiful on a bigger screen. Like, I just love to see this. Now QQQ, let me show you what it's doing on the 1 hour. It is fighting for its life. That being said, it has successfully opened above these 200. The buyers stepping in aggressively here and deciding that they want to turn this resistance into support. Here we are at the bottom of the 1 hour bearish order block that we had before. I'm gonna keep it there just because if you're trying to take profit, this is the top take profit level. It's gonna take stairs up, so try to build a base above here, and then you may encounter 4 hour puts here. So for this one, we're still continuing to, I like this. Okay, so we opened ever so slightly below the 30%. I don't like that, but it's okay. I would have liked to see us open above this 30% level, but at this point, we still have the 1 week strength behind us. Uh, and I think we can, all ETFs are showing signs that we want upside. The data did come in positive. And, yeah. I'm going to stay on for 4 more minutes, but I do have to go. People to go, people to see, things to do, places to go, whatever, all of that good stuff. I'm so grateful. And let's just make sure that this is recording. I think that, ooh, now I love this. On the 1 hour, when I was zoomed out, you can see, yeah, that we have this 1 hour gap here that's coming to play. I also do see SPY wanting to the upside there. But yeah, so this is the next level to contend where they are probably finally going to deal with that gap. Let's look at SPY and see. Okay, well, it looks like we're going to try to. I see people taking profit a little bit of a later entry than what I had called for, but they're hitting their hit profit levels here. And so the next level, I expect a bigger reversal at 50% across the board, regardless of the time frame. So definitely not the time to be greedy. Let's just wait for that push. Oh, yeah, I'm a little fidgety. Okay, we about to hit 50%. Let me pay attention. And plus, I want to, yeah, so we crossed over to 500, 500, 500, 500 on the contract, If we had held from Friday. The one if we had gotten in from today, at the contract at 83 would have been at 219. Uh, no small feat. Oh, did it hit 300%, y'all? Oh my gosh, I was walked away. No, 300% of what? Hold on. 300%? Oh, no. Hell yeah. On the 30 minute? Ooh, 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 hold on. Yeah, so anytime, and there's a reason why I did that on the 30 minute. Because you see that pullback? SPY, 300%. I don't see that though. This must be from like a level before our time, but this is why we market, right? Hold on. Oh, hell yeah. There we go. This is why we market. So I expect some pullback here. And so with that being said, um, no. Are y'all still with me? GP, are you with me? Oh, Lord. trying to do too much. Let's see if I can. So here was like the 15-minute to 30-minute 300% level. Okay, let's go here. All right, this is what I wanted to see. I like how we're opening above the 30% level here. Would have liked to see it open above the 50%, but that's okay. Let me make sure that you guys can still hear me. Having this afternoon, blah, blah, blah. So let me make sure you guys can still hear me. Got myself down to the side here. This is exactly why I have that 30% level, because there is a little bit of taking profit there. And I hated being blindsided on stuff, yo. This is why I have that there. And so you would be in here and be like, whoa, yep, it's okay. And so then now you can practice a little bit of risk management, try to scale, just you have a better idea what you're dealing with. Let me see, previous day high. Oh, I'm sending this one. I've been too far out and burn out. Oh, okay, guys, I have to go. This is nice. I like how we have a solid candle here. Oh my gosh, I hope I wasn't talking all my business. On. Okay, nice solid candle through this level. If we can start to hold above here. Let's see. Yeah, this is the 15-minute. We did kind of open right below it, but you don't want to start to see the 5 minutes start to build the base above here. I love how we also opened right at this 4-hour put level and decided to just roar right through it. There's that 300% level where we might have that reversal that we're looking for before we finally reverse to the downside, and then, but that's going to take time to play out. Um, SPY is holding its ground even with that 300% level that we hit on the 30-minute. If you look at the 30-minute, and then I got to go. Ooh, let's look at the 1 week, because that's really the star of the show here. This is really the star of the show. This is the star of the show. So how it looks across the board. Beautiful. We're approaching previous month high. And then we did say there's a 300% level on the 4 hour. So we might have a little bit of a pullback there. Yeah. See, so we always had sellers stepping in here. This is going to be our third attempt to some upside. But in terms of weekly firing and the 52-week high, I feel like that much higher time frame you can try to push through. Previous month high is higher than a week, but but in terms of 52-week high, that's kind of what we're dealing with here. I love this. We've opened above the VWAP, tested the VWAP there, so we're continuing to push to the upside. It's beautiful, very nice. And then 30-minute continuing to hold above VWAP as well. And I don't know if you can see this, but I love how the VWAP is slightly higher here as opposed to flat. So we still have a little bit more upside. It's taking the stairs up. And then the thing that we were going to look for in the future, so we have 15-minute confirmation that fired, and then the key is always going to be, as long as we hold above the 5-minute, the next time that chop up sync for that weekly, we're just gonna go with the 5-minute and just get in there and just ride that thing up, honey. Now, I don't know if it's gonna go all the way, what it means for the rest of the week. I looked at the open interest for the best open interest was like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then if you look at OPEX, which was on the 21st. So looking at contracts for the 7th and the 21st, I'm pretty sure we could do stuff like that too on the next one. But yeah. Love the recovery on QQQ. And y'all, I gotta go. The day will come when I will be able to sit with you guys here for a longer period of time. But until now, we respect our time constraints. And I'm thankful because, like I said, there have been times where I'll see the setup and I wouldn't know how to necessarily play it or leverage it or not hold as long as I needed to. But this is why we chart, this is why we journal. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave you here. I'm going to have to unfortunately turn it off when I go to my other job, because what happens and I keep forgetting, but every time I go over there, it's going to activate over there and then kick you out. So until then, I'm going to leave this so I can turn it off. You guys have a little bit more to play with. Just trade responsibly, okay? All right. Get it.